Brooks with the EXP Seniors Network, and we're celebrating EXP Seniors Month all month. And this is Eve Hill. She and I work on this EXP Seniors Network, and we love that everybody's here to see Tara and all that Tara's doing. I'm just going to give a quick introduction on who Tara is and a little bit about her, and let her kind of fill you guys in on stuff. So Tara is the head of the NAIPC, which is the National Aging in Place Council. If you don't know what the National Aging in Place Council is, everybody has people in their area that are aging in place specialists. It is great if you, the National Aging in Place Council discusses and encompasses 5 pillars of living for seniors. They are heavily involved in the senior sector. And if there is one thing that I can tell everybody, this sector is huge. We are growing by leaps and bounds when we're talking about those over the age of 65, especially in our homes. The statistics are astronomical. I'm sure you'll see statistics from Tara and you'll hear about them throughout this. But just to kind of give you with what we're doing as real estate agents and people who are working in homes, less than 10% of our nation's housing units can actually accommodate somebody with a mobility issue. If you couple that with our aging demographics, and by 2034, those over the age of 65 will outnumber those under the age of 18 for the first time in US history, you got to balance something. And so by having the National Aging in Place Council there, they are creating an advocacy nationwide to help homeowners age in place. So you'll hear a little bit about that. They talked about aging in place conversations. This is industry experts. Tara put this book together with people throughout the industry. I do see some on this call, actually, on the Zoom, but they talk about those conversations to have with clients and to have with our loved ones. A lot of us are sandwich generation. So we are dealing with our parents aging, and we still have our kids that we're dealing with. So we're kind of sandwiched. National Aging in Place Council's there, and Tara Ballman, please talk to us about everything. Unmute. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay.
The screen is yours.
Let me get my PowerPoint going here. And I know I can't see everybody, but I did see some of our members on the call. So if you are an NAIPC member, maybe like give us a little hand wave or put the celebration button there. I know, yeah, hi Ted, I know there's a few of us on here. So when I share my screen, I really can't see. So Heather or Eve, I can see you, so just wave me down if I need to stop or slow down or restart, whatever it may be. Let me see if I can. Here we go. So nice to meet you all. For those of you that I don't know, my name is Tara Ballman. This is my little family. We live in Orange County, California. My husband and I, aside from my work with NAIPC, we have a company here called Homeworks Physical Therapy, where we provide outpatient PT and OT services in patients' homes. Just by default, we work probably 95% with Medicare patients, and the others are those Orange County folks that prefer to be catered to in their homes. But we do have a passion for working with older adults. That is my little princess there. She's now 6. She just turned 6. She rules the roost around here. So I am the executive director of NAIPC. I've been a part of the organization since it started about 17 years ago, and just slowly worked my way up through the ranks as Orange County chair. Then I served on the board of directors, and now I'm the executive director. I love it. I talk about it all the time. I'm very passionate about it. As Heather said, we just published a book last year, Aging in Place Conversations, that when it was released, it went to number 9 on the Amazon charts in the aging category. We are working on our next book, which will be released this October for Aging in Place Week 2024, which is difficult aging in place conversations. So we're really talking about the things that no one wants to talk about, because those are the ones that really kind of sneak up and get us in the end, right? So let me talk a little bit about the National Aging in Place Council. We are a nonprofit trade association and also a foundation. We've been around for about 17 years. We are based in DC, but we have about 400 members across the country. We are not a lead generation group or a BNI or a networking group. We are really focused on our mission, which is education, driven education, collaboration, and advocacy. So we do have national programs, national events that happen. And then if you're lucky enough to be in an area where there's a local chapter, those members on the ground are going into senior centers and libraries and community colleges and really educating their community, the caregivers, their loved ones, and other professionals on how to safely age in place, whatever that may be. So our organization is built on what we consider the 5 pillars of aging, which is housing, healthcare, finance, transportation, and social engagement. So all of our members really fall into one of those 5 pillars. So we have everything from gerontologists and real estate agents, reverse mortgage professionals, nonprofit organizations, city representatives. We actually have a mayor who joined in Michigan, just randomly found us and wants to help older adults there, mobile dog walkers, mobile dentists, anything that is making aging safer, easier, and more secure in the home. So I just want to talk about 2 things today. The modern definition of aging in place, what I consider the modern definition. And then I would really like to walk through all 5 of those pillars and share some resources with you that you may not have heard about that can help you as you're creating your own aging in place community there in your local networks. I didn't actually get to see who is where, but I'm assuming we're from all across the country on this call, yes? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to give you a bunch of national resources, and then at the end, I would love for you to add into the chat box anything that maybe you know of that I missed or that we should know of, or some special things that are happening in your community, because I know there's a lot of great programs and services popping up in communities. And then if we have time at the end, maybe we can talk about those. So let's talk about a little bit about the modern definition of aging in place. I think a lot of people just assume aging in place is staying in the home. You've lived in your whole life, you raised your children, and now you want to die in that home. And while that is true, that is one definition of aging in place. We really like to consider aging in place for everyone. Everyone is aging in place and living in place. And we want to offer resources that I like to say home is where you lay your head. So we want to make that home as safe and secure and financially viable for as long as possible. And if something changes, a diagnosis, a financial status, a marital status, and you have to change your home, you already have a plan in place and you've been already thinking about that plan and not dealing with it in a last minute crisis situation when your options are this many compared to a vast array of options now. The sooner you start planning, the better. So I took this chart from, I read this book. I don't know if anyone else has read it, The Psychology of Money. It's really interesting. You can see how much I like it. I have notes all over the place for all sorts of different presentations, but it really talks about the mindset behind money and saving and retirement, and how up until recently people worked until they passed away, and the number of people that were living in poverty were 25% over the age of 65. And just until the 1980s is when this really idea of a dignified retirement took hold. But people are basing their thoughts and ideas of what works on something that worked for this many people for this amount of time. So everyone's situation is different. So what worked 10 years ago or pre-COVID versus what works post-COVID are going to be very different. And we just want people to think about things openly and honestly while they still can, while they still have all those options available to them. So I want to talk a little bit about the current landscape. I I really dislike when people lead with fear and market out of fear, but you know, there are some concerns coming up with the future of aging and aging services and what's available. So what you see here on this slide is a study that was done by RBC Wealth Management. And it really is talking about the majority of people, 80%, are really concerned about funding healthcare expenses. But despite that anxiety, only about half of those surveyed have really factored in healthcare costs into their plan. And for those that haven't even thought about healthcare expenses, more than half of those have like a zero financial plan at all. They're just pretending like it's not going to happen, or they're going to figure it out when the time comes. For those who have planned, they have grossly underestimated the cost of what healthcare and aging in place actually is. So that number that you see there on the screen, $2,700, that's what people think is going to be their out-of-pocket costs. I don't know about you, but I'm a 47-year-old healthy person, and that's my out-of-pocket healthcare cost. So I'm not sure that's really going to be that for a 65-year-old or older couple. Actually, what they found was for a healthy 65-year-old, the costs are closer to $6,100 per person and $12,200 for married couples. Big difference when you're talking about planning and how you are factoring in your funds. So one of the documents we have at the National Aging in Place Council is this Act 3 document. And if you scan that QR code there, it takes you to a free download. And it's really a 24-page document that walks people through all 5 of our pillars: the housing, healthcare, finance, transportation, and social engagement. And it has all sorts of, trying to see in my screen here so I can show you, charts, checklists. It's a nice workbook. And then at the very end, it talks about your priority list, what you need help with, where you think you're okay, where do you think you might be going in the future, and then our members can help you or your clients or your loved ones kind of create a plan based on that. So this document, a lot of our members use this as their educational tool, and we invite anyone to use it. That's why you can download it for free and go into your senior centers. Sometimes people talk about all 5 pillars at once. Sometimes folks educate just on one page because these 3 questions could be hours of discussion, depending on how you want to address it. So I would encourage you to use that for yourself, for your own loved ones, and share with anyone that you know could use it. So I'll just go through some of the pillars right now, and this is where I'd really love for you to add your own resources. So housing, just a few areas. This is kind of a presentation based on a presentation I did at the Case Managers Society of America conference in June. So I'm going to talk about probably some different things with you than I will with them. Like, I feel like I might be preaching to the choir a little bit, talking about SRES and and the NAHB and the CAPS. So I'm just going to skip over that part. But I did see Fritzy Grodeon on the call here, and she is one of our NAIPC members. I'm a longtime member and multiple chapters, and
will be one of our speakers in a few weeks.
Oh, nice. So she is also the Director of Education for Age Safe America. And I always like to share this with people. I love it says on their website, caregiving doesn't come with an instruction manual, but they've done their best to create these free online training that you can send to your clients and your loved ones to help them. And it covers everything from care advocacy, how to create care teams, legal, financial, and even self-care for the caregivers. So that's a resource that I always love to mention and put out there. Well Aware Care, that's another one of our members from our Boston chapter. And they have a great, they're all about technology. And one of the things that I like about their home system, it's one of the in-homes, you know, I've fallen and I can't get up at the next level, but they use the same kind of radar that airports use, so they can see where a person is on a plane. So instead of spying on someone all day long with cameras, it can sense where someone is. And the longer they use the system, they can tell, oh, if they're just bending down to tie their shoe and it took 2 minutes, or did they actually fall on the ground and they've been there for 5 minutes, or Are they on the ground in their closet versus the bathroom or the kitchen? So I think that's a really interesting way, and it's very cheap, very affordable, a way to kind of keep track of your loved ones without spying on them. Another great resource is the Labrador system. That is it looks like a little side table on wheels. It's built on the Roomba technology, and that you can purchase on a subscription-based plan through Amazon. So what I like is an older adult, maybe somebody with mobility issues in a wheelchair, can order their groceries on Amazon Fresh. The machine will meet the person at the door. The delivery person can deliver right onto this. That takes it to the kitchen. We'll go around any dogs or animals or medical equipment in the way because it senses those things. Take it to the fridge, the kitchen. In some cases, it can even put the food inside the fridge for someone. And it can be used for other things, for doing laundry. My personal assistant, Trisha, I don't know if anyone's ever been on an NAIPC call, you've probably met Trisha. She is in a wheelchair, she has MS, and she just wanted to be able to make her husband lunch when he was working at home, and she couldn't. And she uses this to take him lunch and to, feel a part of his everyday activities. So it's really exciting to see new products and services that are coming out like that are using NAIPC as a vehicle to launch education, and also they're testing their products on our folks. The Well Aware Care, as well as there's another company called Smart Tech, and it's a smart plug. And unlike all of these other organizations that have a subscription-based service, it's a one-time fee for this plug, and then you download their free app, and it's not spying on what your loved one's doing, but the opposite. So if they make coffee every morning at 6 o'clock, between 6 and 8, and today they didn't make coffee, then you get an alert that said, hey, something might be up today. There's something off. So another great way to spy without spying. I don't like to say spy, to oversee without spying. And then I also like to throw in here the Keys Guild. That's something that we met through the group over at Artifacts, and those are it's an organization, a nonprofit organization of experts. So going into homes, I'm sure you've seen people with multiple collections of everything from fine art to Barbie dolls still in the original boxes to all those spoons that your Aunt Eleanor gave you, one from every state on her trip across the country 50 years ago. So these folks can help you decide what actually has value, what you should keep, what you can get rid of, and where to get rid of them safely and properly. The auction houses are the right avenues to do that. So the Keys Guild is a great organization for that. And then NASM, I have them on here. We are doing an event with one of their members, and we're launching a chapter in Southwest Florida, October 26th, and I'm really excited about it. Matt Paxton, I don't know if any of you know Matt Paxton. He was on the show Hoarders, and he now has a show on PBS called Legacy Listers, which is all about downsizing and decluttering and moving and adjusting your home to properly age in place. So he's helping us launch our chapter in Southwest Florida, October 26th. He's doing a whole presentation. It's going to be like an antique roadshow where the older adults can bring in their stuff, and he's going to bring them on stage and film it. So I'm excited. This is our test. If it goes well, we're going to take it to the chapters across the country. So that's exciting. So yes, if you have any other organizations you'd like to share and add in there about housing, things that are making housing easier for older adults or not other nonprofits, go ahead and throw them in the chat box. Did you have a question, Keith?
Would this be the place for the Village Network or Neighbor Force or anything like that?
Sure, absolutely. Those are great organizations too. Do you want to talk about those a little bit?
Well, I don't want to take away from your time, but just briefly, these are just neighborhood support systems of volunteers or maybe low-cost handymen, people like that, who help older adults age in place by coming to their home with groceries or helping them with tech, or just being companions and hanging out and talking, taking them to medical appointments. So it's just a way, kind of a similar sort of a membership, low-cost way to get people to come to you that live in your community. So I'll put those in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, and Neighbor Force, since you brought them up, I'll tell you, they just joined as members of our Atlanta chapter. So I'm excited to have them on board as well. So I'll move over into the health and wellness category. I always like to bring up the benefits check on NCOA, benefitscheckup.org. If you've never been on there, if you're older adults, if you know people that have needs, that's a great place to send them to make sure that they are actually accessing all of the available information out there. You put in a zip code and it tells you local resources, nonprofits, government resources. It's really an amazing little checkup. I like for my mom to do it every year. We walk through it together. So something good to put in your rotation with your older adults. Senior Medicare Patrol, I like to put on here because it is crazy the amount of Medicare fraud that's going on right now, particularly related to hospice. And you know, all these advertisements that you see on TV about get your something check, just give us your Medicare number, or when they're walking through the mall and give us your Medicare number for this free ancestry whatever program. Well, they're really stealing their Medicare information, signing them up for hospice, and seniors don't know they're on the hospice. These Medicare people don't know, so they're drawing down all these benefits, and then they go to use, say, physical therapist that gets denied because they're on hospice, and that should be covered. So it's something actually that's running rampant out here in Orange County, and I know it is across the country. And then people don't know where to turn, whether it's that or they've been charged too much on a bill or their EOBs aren't quite right. And you call Medicare and you're on the helpline forever. But these people are amazing. They work directly with Medicare and they know all the tricks and they can help. And they're in all 50 states. So I'd really encourage you to reach out to them. And if any of you are in professional organizations looking for speakers, they make amazing speakers as well. The Dental Lifeline, this is a resource that I love to share with folks because a lot of people are not aware of them. It is volunteer dentists that volunteer their time for people, I believe it's either 55 or 65, over the age of 65, that need help with dental assistance. So it's 15,000 volunteer dentists and 3,500 volunteer labs that do all of the work for free. Can't be cosmetic related, but and it depends on where you are in the country. It varies by county, but a lot of times there are loopholes that even if they're not accepting new patients in that county, if you're a veteran or if you're disabled a certain percentage, that they will still let you in. So I would encourage you, if you have people that are overlooking their dental work, that's a great place to send them. In Pillboxy, I know there's a lot of different products, medication management applications out there helping folks, but this Pillboxy is an app that was actually created by nurses. So they go through, they identify every pill by what it does, what it's for, what the ailment is, why you're taking it, why it's important to take this, what it looks like. If you're supposed to take half a pill, what half that pill looks like. And it's just helps people get into the process of taking their medicine properly and understanding why it does what it does. And then the zine, I'll just move on quickly, but the zine is something, we had the inventor of this on our one of our hidden gems. He was a filmmaker, and he's the one that filmed the scene in Rocky where Sylvester Stallone's running up the stairs, and he needed the shot to be a nice, clean, clear shot. So he created this technology that did that. And when his father had some mobility issues, he took the technology behind that and put it into a wheelchair. And so it's this nice, smooth wheelchair that can go not quite upstairs yet, but it can adjust levels. So if you're in your kitchen and you need something from the lower cabinet, you can lower it and get something from the lower cabinet and then raise it again so you're at counter height to continue cooking. Or if you don't need the full weight of your body in the wheelchair and still have some muscle and can still get around, it helps you to still use your muscles and not lose that tone before it's required.
Right. And there's no electricity.
And no electricity. Yeah, it's very easy. Are you familiar with it?
Oh, we love it. We saw it at the Abilities Expo about a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. And he was on one of the news shows, I don't know, Dateline or something. So, and it's really kind of affordable.
Yeah, I was actually having Eve, we did a zine video while we're there, and I'll tell you, if you haven't gone to an Abilities Expo, they're very, very cool. They really are. There's a lot to see. But all of this stuff that you're learning here through Tara, I just want to mention it's great marketing material. It is free for seniors to use, and it makes you look like an expert in your community. So by passing along this information that she's giving you, that a majority of people out there have no idea it even exists, makes you that much better of an expert in your industry. And I think knowledge, education is not, and knowledge is power. And I think that gives you kind of a better understanding of what someone's going through and a better connection when you can give them this, especially in the time of need. You prefer that they take this information before they get to that point. And that's the whole point of aging in place, is to educate before it happens. Because those statistics are pretty scary and alarming. And when you're faced with having to make all these decisions because you didn't plan for it, it's, as a child, it becomes overwhelming. So I always say to people, when you see things like this, take these little gold nuggets and put it in your newsletters or put it in your videos. Do, social media videos about it. Do anything you can about getting that out there. And it just, gets, the word out there for things that they didn't know about. All right.
Yeah, and it just solidifies you as an expert, not just in your particular area, but in all things related to a home and housing and aging and everything. So I love when people call me for things that aren't related to anything that I do, because that means they thought of me first, and I find that the most rewarding. So thank you, Heather. So finance, we'll move on to the finance pillar very quickly. I know I'm probably talking up my time here, but benefits.gov is another one of those websites like NCOA, like the benefits checkup, but benefits.gov is only government benefits. So not just Medicare, but all of the local resources, state resources, county resources you can find on that website. The AMAC Foundation is something new that I found. It's another nonprofit based out of Florida. I found out about them because they're Social Security experts. The next book that we're doing, the Difficult Aging in Place Conversations, I always get stuck writing the parts that nobody else wants. So I was writing about Social Security, and they taught me everything I know about it, which quite frankly, I was shocked. I thought I was pretty familiar with things, and I didn't. So they cover not just Social Security, when to take it, but also any kind of financial issue related to blended families, retirement in general. So they're a really interesting group, and they have a great online resource library as well. And then there's a lot of little organizations popping up, like Silver Bills and the Mint, that help people just with online bill pay, just to keep track of things, just to reduce the amount of fraud that's out there. A lot of times, you walk into somebody's house and you see piles and piles of envelopes that they just haven't opened, and meanwhile their electricity is about to be cut off, or their medication they're not getting anymore because they didn't answer this letter to send it back. So organizations like this are really helping people get ahead of those things, and it's quite affordable. I also put on here the Certified Retirement Counselor. That's an organization through a nonprofit called the International Foundation for Retirement Education. And they do a lot of pro bono work, and they focus on the middle market. So there's a lot of resources out there for the high net worth, and there's a lot of resources out there for low income, but these folks are really focused on that middle market. So again, if you know of any other resources out there that are great financially, finance related, please put them in the chat box. So transportation, speaking of sections of books people don't want to write, in the last book, I wrote the transportation section simply because we didn't have anybody else to write it. And I think it's really telling about just kind of the industry where we are as a whole. People are so focused on housing and healthcare, and since COVID, social engagement, but with the transportation, it's just like kind of on the back burner. And I don't know if it's because they don't have a reasonable solution for it, or if everyone's like, it's not going to happen to me, I'm driving just fine, and when I can't drive, my family's going to drive me, so we're all good. But it turns out it's not always all good. And once your transportation is lacking, then a lot of other things start, piling up. You stop going to the doctor as much. Maybe your social interaction isn't what it used to be. You can't go to church on Sunday anymore. Yeah, maybe you could do it online, but it's not the same as being in person. So I think transportation is a really important part that's really overlooked a lot. As one of the things I like to put on care.com, I'm a mom. I used to use that for babysitting. Something people don't realize is that you can get care for older adults on there. Not just caregiving services, but also transportation services. So I like to put that on there. But my favorite organization up here is this ITN America. That's a nonprofit that is really in all 50 states. And the thing I like about that is that they work with you on your situation. So let's say my mom in Atlanta needs somebody to drive her around, and I have some spare time on my hands here in Orange County. I can drive some older adults here and earn credits for my mom to get rides back there. Or if she wants to drive around before her cataract surgery, she can drive other people in her neighborhood to build up credits so that she can use them after the fact.
Wow.
I love that. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, bartering.
Yeah.
Right.
It really is. Or if you have a car that you're not using anymore, you can donate the car and get the credits for that back. So it's a really interesting nonprofit that I always like to mention because I think they just do things differently. And they have a toll-free hotline that you can call. You can get rides anytime, and it's completely free for the older adult. And then GoGo Grandparent. I know many of you have probably heard of GoGo Grandparent, but it's like if you were to take Uber and Lyft and create a concierge service for them, that is GoGo Grandparent. So if the older adult has issues with a smartphone or is just not comfortable, ordering a car online, you can actually call up and they can call and get it individually, or they have subscription-based services where they'll also help with picking up prescriptions or doing chores or getting groceries. Or if you have, medical equipment or ambulation issues, they will help you with that. And in some cases with the super supreme package, if you have a favorite driver, they work with that driver to make sure that you always get the same person every time instead of Uber just randomly sending someone. So the transportation section, 78% of baby boomers claim that transportation is their key to independence. So I think creating a plan is really so important. And even here in Orange County, like the public transportation, they have a program where they will train you. They will go to your senior center or your living room and bring someone in and train you how to get on the bus system, how to take your bus from your home to the doctors. If you have issues, mobility issues, how to safely get on and off the bus. And then after the training, they give you free bus passes. So you can test it out while you're not stressed and trying to get around. So I know there's a lot of other local areas that have those kind of programs as well. So our last pillar of the 5 pillars is the social engagement section. I have a few slides on this. And I think this is something that's really been highlighted since COVID. I think a lot of the mindset in the past was, families would find communities that would have 3 hot meals a day and maybe bingo on Monday, and they've got cable, so they are well taken care of. But I think COVID was really our eyes were open to see that sometimes you can have everything you need under one roof, but it might not be enough on the social side of things. So the social engagement, I just have 3 slides that I can run through on this. I put on here master gardeners and gardening clubs. As a master gardener, they do have to do continuing education. So they're always looking for places to volunteer, senior centers, gardening clubs, senior areas to go in and do their presentations, and also gardening clubs. They have a lot that host gardening clubs in certain areas. Meetup is a great place to find all sorts of things, walking clubs, very just community-based meetup. And what's the other one that everyone's on? Nextdoor. Nextdoor is another great place to find some social activities for older adults. And then online communities. Stitch is kind of a new community that's popped up. It's like the Facebook for those 50 and up. I don't know how well it's going to take off because I feel like demographics is pretty good on Facebook, but we'll see if Stitch ever actually takes off. And then HeyGo is one of a lot of these travel clubs that are popping up both virtually and live. And a lot of them are no cost. So there was one that I found, I can't remember the name of it, but my mother-in-law is German. And she doesn't think she's going to be able to go back to Germany before she passes, but she wants to see the home she grew up in and, you know, the elementary school and the bakery. So there's someone over there that's going to take a camera and give her a live tour on his bike and ride around and show her all the things that she wants to see. So there are a lot of options out there between I'm never going to be able to travel again and staying at home, you know, and being sad.
Unfortunately, HeyGo closed last year.
Oh no, did it? Then it's not HeyGo that I want to put on there. There was another one. What's the new? No, there's a new one. I'm going to look it up when we do the question and answer that replaced it. But yes, you're right. HeyGo did close. But we will fix that. Thank you, Kevin. So the social engagement, here's another thing that I love, the SCORE. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the SCORE organization. It's something here in Orange County that I've been involved in. It's just, I go just to get their knowledge. I think it stands for Social Core of Retired Executives or something like that. We hear the chief marketing officer of Wendy's, who created the Where's the Beef ad campaign. He is part of the SCORE here, and I follow him around like a groupie because, like, what better person to learn marketing from than the Where's the Beef guy? He sits at a senior center down in Mission Viejo. The front two chairs are his office. There's where he meets with everybody, and he's just one gem in that system. They have everything you can possibly think of at SCORE, and it's all volunteer based. They asked him to charge. He said if he charged, he would quit. So I love that they're very focused on education. And the Great Panthers is another great group. They were part of our San Francisco chapter for a while, but this was founded by a woman who worked for the Presbyterian Church. And in 1970, she was forced to retire at the age of 65 because she was 65, and that's what you did. And she said, I don't want to retire, and I don't think we should be forced to do these things. So that's how the organization was founded. It's a great place to volunteer. And they're doing a lot of intergenerational work too, connecting the older adults with younger folks. Just a few more things. The dating, there's so many dating sites that are popping up right now. I don't know if you've seen it. I think Silver Singles is the latest one for older adults. I think they're going to be on one of our Hidden Gems of Aging series coming up, or somebody like them.
Actually, there's actually a seniors bachelor coming up.
No, really?
Yes. It's coming up.
I love it. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of other, tons of other organizations out there and activities that older adults can become a part of. My Health Angels, they do a lot of presentations. They have an online community, not just in North America, but all over the world. And they're always looking for speakers. If you have a presentation that's a little bit different, to go in and talk to their older adults, but they cover everything from elder law attorneys. They have book readings from older adults. It's a really fun, tight-knit community. And then that little circle there with the granny, that's a Rent-A-Grandma. That's like a Indeed.com, but for grandparents. So you can go on there, like they'll babysit your child after school or help with homework, or, do grandma things, cook cookies for your bake sale that you don't have time to do. So I love that these little organizations are popping up like that. So I just want to end again with my planning template. If you didn't get a chance to scan that, these are some of the resources that we connect through people's responses to this. And there's a whole section in there on housing. We're in the process of updating it. So if you do happen to have this document and you're like, hey, it would be great, since this hasn't been done in 10 years, when you recreate it, to add this part in. It's always something that's changing, and we're happy to talk to you about adding new things. So
can I just, before you end, you forgot one thing. The advocacy. That's important. So if you can tell everybody about what you doing behind the scenes in Washington, D.C., and how you're trying to help our nation's housing units and taxpayers.
Yes. So we have an advocacy committee. It's one of our most popular committees, and actually you don't have to be a member of our organization to participate. That's how strongly we feel about the work that we're doing. But we're really looking, it's an ongoing project. It's been in the works for about 4-6 years now. That would, it's federal legislation that would provide tax incentives for folks making aging in place improvements to their homes, initially $5,000 just to get our foot in the door. And then as we see the utilization rates, we will increase that, ask for more. But it's something that's really gaining traction across the country. And we're also not just supporting our own legislation, but we're working with other nonprofits to help promote and support their work as well. So I think in moving forward, Health are the ones supporting the bill that is allowing for help with ADLs and everyday caregiving to be reimbursed under Part B Medicare, which would be amazing. That would open the door for a lot of folks, give them a lot of help. And also the legislation that just passed last year that they're trying to work through about the long-term care insurance premiums, being able to pull from your retirement penalty-free to pay those premiums so you don't lose out on, you know, all of those years you paid premiums and now you can't afford it anymore. So that's kind of the work that we're getting behind on our advocacy committee. And our next meeting is August 25th. If you'd like to join us, just send me a note and I'm happy to add you in.
There are some states that already offer incentives for aging in place. Massachusetts is one. I think Connecticut's another. There's a few of them out there. So look up your local board and see if you can find out.
And, you know, Kevin, thank you for bringing that to our attention, because that's just the thing, is a lot of people, even in those states, don't even know that that's available. So by you telling your homeowners or your area about it, it only makes you one of those experts again, because there's a lot of tax incentives to be had for those over the age of 60, 62, 65 in everybody's community. And the reason why we do these classes is because we want to connect everybody with nationwide people that anybody on this call can find in their own community. So Tara, you're awesome. Thank you so much. But I'm going to open it up and let people ask questions.
Well, I'll just jump in with just one thing to put minds at ease for a lot of these things, which are wonderful, personal people, real human beings helping and exchanging and getting into our cars. And all these places are trusted. You wouldn't tell us about them if they were not trusted and vetted organizations, right? So we can set the mind at ease of our clientele by saying that these are trustworthy places. They're not just fly-by-nights, you know.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things I forgot to mention about all of our members, which you can search our directory at aginplace.org if you're ever looking for help. But all of our members are background checked. That is the one requirement that we never waver on, that we require it to be updated every 3 years as well. So, sorry, whoever I just interrupted.
No, it was me. Just a very quick question. Do you have this like in PDF or something like that with all those contact info?
You know, I could send that to you, or also if you wanted to order the book on Amazon.com. Everything that I talked about, plus a lot more, is in the Aging in Place Conversations book. We have a resource section in the back that.
Oh, that's better. That's.
Can you put that Amazon link in?
I just put
Yeah.
the link to the Amazon purchase link.
This
Okay,
is also
perfect.
recorded, so you
Yeah.
will be have the recording and you can watch it and be able to snapshot or whatever, get information that way as well. So
That's
we'll
true.
also have that recording if you need that as well.
Okay,
Tara,
thank you.
I would like to ask, how do we join in a IPC? I don't want to get my letters all messed up.
the letters sometimes, NAIPC, yes. So if you go to aginplace.org, in the top right hand of our website, there's a blue button that says become a member. So you can just click on that. Everything is done online. It is $250 a year for an individual member, $125 if you're a nonprofit. And right now we have a actual summer special running. If you use the word summer in the coupon section, it gives you $50 off your first year membership. So there is a link on there. If you already have a background check, as long as it's dated within the last year, we can accept that. Otherwise, there's a link to a third-party organization that can give you one instantly. I think it's $20 or something.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to chime in since nobody's talking, but one of the things that I love, and Tara could tell you, and Eve, is the community connections. And I think that's the biggest, hugest thing that sets you apart. We did marketing last week, and she hit home with the marketing of community connections and really hooking up with somebody in your community to do a video, to do, you know, some type of a special, you know, some type of a, you know, discount where you guys can help each other out. And this is just one of those community connections, but on a national level. And we all, like I said earlier, we all have all of these connections. But I think, Tara, you brought so much more cool stuff to it. I didn't realize how much we have.
Yeah, it's really great to have all these national resources that we can have as the references for helping people and helping them zero in into their communities from these national places, which have the resources within them.
But and I think as most of us know, real estate agents are great and savvy with marketing and networking and getting involved in community. This specific niche is untapped. Not many people know how to handle it. You know, older adult homeowners, I always tell people it's the first time that they're selling, they're first time sellers. They bought a home when it was a carbon copy paperwork, and they didn't have inspections and papers and things coming online at them that they have to sign and DocuSign. So it becomes overwhelming. And I think when you can gain the trust and not take advantage of people and become that go-to person who knows the right attorney and who knows the right accountant and who knows the right person that can help them navigate those pillars, as Tara was saying, they've broken it down. This is like National Enterprise Council has been around for many, 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 many years. And I know that we have some of our original some of the original almost members here on this call, on the Zoom, and I'm a part of it and Eve's a part of it, but I love the connections that I've made, both on a national level and within my community. And I hope that by bringing all of this to you guys can do the same in your own communities.
Now, we were in, what? Oh, you want to, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So I teach workshops for seniors. I basically target people who have been in their house over 30 years. And it covers, you know, not just what do you got to do in selling your homes today. It talks about aging in place, financial advisors. You know, we have an attorney there. So it's allowed me to get to know the local, you know, senior centers and stuff. It's where I get 90% of my business from a business perspective, but it really helps these people understand all the different things they have to do. I've done these for the past 5 years, and I still have clients calling me 5 years later to ask me questions and to have me help them out.
So Kevin, out of curiosity, how many other agents in your area are doing the same thing? Okay, guys. Did you not see that? Because I do this in my community and I'm the only one, and I do it on two coasts. I do it in Florida and Los Angeles.
And I'm in Boston.
Yeah.
Boston?
And Boston's great. Okay, so by the way, Boston has the first Villages Network.
Yeah.
And it is unbelievable. If you haven't visited the Villages Network, it's a great concept. It's one of the oldest, I believe, right, Tara? Eve?
Well, that
Yes.
was the first
Fritzy.
village that opened, was in
Fritzy.
Beacon Hill.
Fritzy
Yeah.
said yes.
Beacon Hill.
It's one of the oldest network connections for older adults in their community. They aren't everywhere. They're trying to get more up and running. But I know it came out of Boston and San Francisco, and they have it in other places. But village to village network, phenomenal.
Now,
Annie?
go ahead. Who's top? Fritzy.
I just wanted to say too, for the folks on the call who are in communities that are not on that master list that Tara already had. So there are chapters opening up all over the country, and taking a look at aginginplace.org will help you connect to that local community. Because Kevin, as you were saying, right, it's your local resources. You've built this, that you're doing the training. So for everybody else, I had an opportunity to help found the San Diego chapter, and you can do it. This is your opportunity to look, and as you choose the resources and build out your first 10, then with Tara's help, there's chapter development and how to launch it, and what are the resources that NAIPC offers to get chapters up and running and off the ground. And Tara, I know I'm going to speak for Tara right now, but she's got a running list of places where people are already interested. So the opportunity is as fabulous as all of this is on Zoom, and Kevin, you're talking to it right now. After 5 years, because you were in person, because you had those resources, now people can, all of this time, right? 4 years ago, they didn't have the question. 3 years ago, they didn't have the question, but they do now, and they know you're there. And it's the same way. So for Heather and Eve in your communities as well, right? People know that you have those resources. So I just encourage any of you who are in locations that have a chapter or a chapter coming up, please take a look at joining that in addition to the national membership, so that you really have the physical connection and the knowledge of who really will work best with your clients. Because it's like anything, people have different personalities. Home care companies have different personalities. Electricians have different personalities. Finding the ones that are going to work best for the client. And I just would encourage anybody to consider that if you don't have a chapter, looking at what all of these resources are, and the more you can become that resource, you become that resource tenfold when you put others together in the room once a month and talk through these and then share your clients.
Yeah,
That's all.
Fritzy, thank you so much. And yes, I wholeheartedly agree. I do this in my community, and in Los Angeles, and Eve, we work it all over the nation and try to educate and empower. We became part of National Aging in Place Council a while back ago, and we love it. It's brought so much to my community that I've connected to our Area on Aging agency. If you don't know what that is, it's your local, we all have one. It's our local agencies for aging. And it's interesting because then you become a part of all of the aging possibilities that are happening in your community. You find out about new laws that are happening. You find out how you can, other things that are coming into play. There's some amazing stuff that's happening out there. New different types of senior communities that are going in. Arizona State on their campus has a 55 living community. Colleges are now dormitories are now turning into apartment style living for 55 and over. So when you're looking at stuff like this, it goes beyond just these types of connections. It goes beyond getting into these senior communities and also making a connection and viewing them and seeing what's out there and bringing it back to your client as well. We're going to have that conversation with CEO Chuck Bongiovanni of Majestic Residences next week. He's going to talk about franchising and senior living. If you know anything about senior housing news, or if you read senior housing news, he was coined the McDonald's of senior living. He is franchising. It's unbelievable what this man's doing. So next Thursday, we're going to have him talking about that. I think Tara,
We have Dr. Carrie Jones raising her hand.
go for it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Eve and team. This is absolutely incredible information. I am so glad I'm here.
Thank you.
I chimed in when you all were talking about how to appraise different properties. The Keys Guild. How do I go about giving my client this information? I have a new client. They have so many valuable antiques, the old turntables. I'm like, oh my goodness, it was from the 1920s. I said, don't give this away. It has to be appraised. So this is just great information for me.
Yeah.
Everything in that house is like, I want everything. They have the old Tiffany's lamps from the early 1900s. It's just amazing.
Tara, can you put the link in there for her? So she's going to put the link in there.
Yes.
And then you can go ahead and contact them. I mean, I'm sure it'd be.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I have it. The Keys Guild. I register for it so I can contact them with the telephone number or via email.
Either one, they're pretty responsive either way. So
Perfect. Yeah, the jury, the music, the pianos, everything is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. You
You're
know,
welcome.
we've
Thank you.
been inspired by the National Aging in Place Council and the members of the National Aging in Place Council. And we have, if you're in EXP Realty and you have access to EXP World, we have more resources and more guides and more information. We've created an interactive house with issues. We've noted things. You can click on the screens in EXP World in the interactive housing space, and you can see what hinders an older adult living there and what would enhance an older adult living there. So you'll click on clutter and you'll see, well, clear the clutter, and this is a better way to live. Or here's
you'll also be able to get right back to the National Aging in Place Council. So it
that's right. We have resources. Right.
And it has links to all the resources. So like a lot of our national resources, we have links already in that world for you.
I love it.
The world, check out all the rooms because there's a lot of great stuff in there. And I know we're kind of getting to that point of saying goodbye, but I am Heather Brooks from EXP Seniors Network, Eve Hill from EXP Seniors Network, and Tara Ballman from the NAIPC. You can also check their YouTube channel out, NAIPC TV. They have a ton of stuff. And you can also check Eve and myself out we did a senior marketing thing for them. So you can check out us out there too.
It looks like somebody else has a raised hand, but I don't know who it is.
Let me put mine down. I'm going to put mine down. Thank you. I didn't realize my sneakers were going to be silver this quickly. I love working with the silver sneakers here.
So we have
Real quick.
Yes.
Real quick question. Fritzy was talking about a national level and getting involved in your local. What was she talking about? The aginginplace.org? What was she?
Somebody said I look like a very young Carrie Fisher.
Pardon?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
The National Aging in Place Council, we do have national membership. We are a national organization. And then if there is a chapter within your area, or if you'd like to start one, then that would be additional for the local.
So just go to that website.
Yes.
To determine if there is a local. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. I just had somebody say, by the way, you look like a young Carrie Fisher. Oh, no.
You?
Yeah, that's what I was saying out the side of my mouth. I go, somebody said that. Who knows? But hey, thank you for saying that. Okay, next week, Thursday, same time, same place. And then the week after that, we have Fritzy. So I'll have Fritzy here. We'll see Fritzy. But next week, we've got Chuck Bongiovanni from Majestic Residence, and he also is the owner and CEO of Care Patrol. So he started that. He is going to talk about franchising and senior living and everything that he's doing nationwide and as well as worldwide. So he's opening up more across the globe. So we'll hear from the McDonald's of Senior Living himself. If you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to email us. We appreciate you coming and seeing us.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for coming. Bye.
Yeah.